Welcome to the Inspiration North podcast, inspiring stories from inspirational people and how they found their passion, their true north. I'm James Eves.
And I'm Michelle Minikin, and this is the Inspiration North podcast.
Today's episode, Turning a Passion into a Viable Career with Lydia Laws. We talk about how she never thought she could get a career in music and doing something she loved, had non-profit involvement to remove single-use plastic from the music industry by 2025, and how being a trained marine mammal paramedic isn't a chat-up line.
Lydia is the founder and director of Lydia Laws PR, an international boutique PR and communications agency specialising in electronic music. With 7 years' experience in the music industry, she offers artists, labels, events and brands an elite personalised service pitching to worldwide print, online and broadcast media, and has spoken on several panels sharing her expertise and experience. A passionate environmental advocate, Lydia is a founding member of Blondish's well-known Bye Bye Plastic Foundation, handling the brand's communications and partnerships. She's also founder and host of podcast Lifting the Lid, where she lifts the lid on creative, inspiring achievers who follow their passions, from DJs, authors, sports figures, scientists, eco-warriors, business entrepreneurs, and beyond.
Great. Well, thank you for joining us, Lydia. How are you this fine day?
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. The sun is shining. I've been for a swim in the sea this morning.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Feeling ready to go for the day. All good.
Well,
How are you guys?
Yeah, good. We'll have to maybe try that.
Yeah, go for paddle maybe.
You should 100% start the day with a swim in the sea. Is the best. It's the best thing.
That's got me wondering now. Yeah. Well. So, if we go to our first question, when you were a little girl, did you know what you wanted to be when you grew up?
I always had a pretty clear vision of what I wanted to be, and it wasn't always highly realistic. When I was really little, I wanted to be a dancer or an actress. I was obsessed with like musicals and being on the stage. That was kind of basically that was the goal. But then obviously you kind of grow up a little bit and start being a bit more realistic. Although obviously a lot of people can do that. But yeah, I kind of decided to take a more realistic approach and really wanted to be a journalist or work in PR. At the time, while I was like in school and stuff, I was doing a lot of internships and worked for a lot of different newspapers and magazines and publishing houses and stuff, basically interning wherever I could and just getting as much experience and things that I could. Yeah, so I always wanted to kind of work in that PR journalism area, but never thought that it would end up being in music. Just kind of didn't know that was actually a real job in some sort of way. I think when you're at school, you're very much, I think that the careers advisors have a few things to answer for, to be honest, because it's very much like, okay, so this is what you should do. This is what you should go to uni, you should do this, you should do that, you should become. There was basically about 5 jobs they kind of pushed you to do or encouraged you to do, I feel. And yeah, I think, but I was very lucky in the sense that I always was a really keen writer and always wanted to work in those sort of fields anyway. So yeah.
It's good to hear because most guests, I think, don't know what they want to be. However, the careers advice is a common theme. It's kind of, don't be silly, Lydia, that's not a career. You need to get a proper job. And there've been a number of guests who've been put off and have found their way back eventually.
Oh, wow.
What their calling was.
So that's really interesting, actually, because I think it's one of those things where when you're in school, it's like, okay, you have to know what you want to do. And if you're an academic, then it's like, well, you definitely go to university then. And if you aren't, then it's like, okay, well, these are your options. And then you grow up and you meet people who have these ludicrous jobs that sound so cool that you didn't even know existed. And you're like, why didn't I hear about that in school when I was being told about, like, I guess like journalism, quantity surveying, like being a doctor. Yeah, I feel like there needs to be a new careers advising course that people can take.
So I think the careers advice is something which is progressing. I mean, we've been into a local school to actually give our perspective of, if you want to work in psychology, what does it actually mean? What's the reality of the scenario? I've talked about, if you're into, so I talked about languages. What can you do with languages? Well, at school, you'll be told you can be a translator or a teacher, and there's a lot more that you can actually do with that. So it's providing some of that realism to say, you can pretty much go and do whatever you want and build in a language. So don't be pushed down a route of, you've got to be a translator and work in Brussels or teach other kids how to learn a language. So
no, there are some really cool things that schools are doing nowadays. So you were getting lots of experience interning, university, no doubt.
Yeah, I went to Newcastle and did English language and linguistics.
Wow.
I kind of had always, it was one of those degrees where I basically tried to do as many things outside of the language course as possible as well, because once you kind of get there and then you're like, oh, but I really kind of wish I was doing more literature, I wish I was doing some like drama and this sort of thing. So I was kind of constantly going to the head of English and being like, please will you let me do a different module? And eventually like, okay, fine, but this is the last one. And then I'd go back like the next semester and be like, I really want to learn about Virginia Woolf. And she'd be like, okay, fine, but this is the last time. So so I was very lucky in that sense that they kept kind of letting me move, like kind of change course structures and stuff.
Cool. So what happened next after graduating?
So it was a funny one. So basically all the way through school I was like, right, I'm gonna go at uni. I had a really clear idea of what I wanted. I was very much in the mindset of like, I want to live to work. Like I want my job, I want to be a career woman, I want that to be my life. I want to work in a big city, the kind of dream being New York, like, walking across the Brooklyn Bridge to work every day with like my Americano and my banana bread or something. Although obviously in New York I'd probably not be eating banana bread because everyone's supposed to be really skinny. But anyway, that was the sort of plan. And then did English at uni, and then just the same kind of problem that quite a lot of graduates have, obviously trying to find a job afterwards. I just was applying for different marketing roles and stuff and kind of different PR jobs, and kind of had it in my head that I was probably going to have to move to London at some point, because that's where, even though I didn't really want to, it was like that's where everything is, that's where all the big businesses are. So basically I was working as a waitress, just like casual restaurant work, and I did that for about a year while I was like applying for jobs and trying to kind of figure out what I really wanted to do. I had all this experience, but then nothing really kind of seemed to fit, and I just didn't really know. And then around that sort of time I started getting into electronic music. I'd always kind of listened to electronic music and been a really big fan of music generally, but got into like the more sort of underground house and techno sound and just became completely obsessed with it. So while I was working in the restaurant, I was then basically just kind of living and breathing the music and the whole kind of music scene and industry, and was like going out on my own to gigs and like clubs all the time, and just basically just any time there was a DJ in town who, whether I'd heard of him or not, I was like, I've got to go. It just sort of, music became kind of the thing that got me through, I guess, that phase where I was kind of working and just thinking I should be doing something with my degree, and what am I doing and where am I going? Through a friend, the restaurant, they had told me about this internship going at a company called Ibiza Spotlight, and it's basically the #1 guide to Ibiza. They've been around for decades. It's a website and kind of a ticket company and all that, a lot of different, they do a lot of different things. And I'd already decided that I wanted to do a season in Ibiza no matter what. So I'd booked a one-way ticket to Ibiza. This was like the summer 2013 with a friend. And we were like, yep, we're going to do it. We'll find work when we're there. It'll be fine. And then I applied for this internship and actually got it. So it was basically writing. It was a writing internship. So I'd be writing reviews of different events and interviewing DJs. It was basically a dream job for someone who is massively into their music and wants to spend the summer in Ibiza. So I did that. I went over to Ibiza, did that for 6 months, 5-6 months. And it was just, that was the total kind of game changer. I'd never set foot in Ibiza before. I was probably a little bit late to the scene in comparison to a lot of my friends who, because I'd just been very much kind of focused on, I don't know really, I'd been a bit of an indie kid, and just hadn't really, it just took me a bit longer to kind of find that sound really. And then so I'd never been to Ibiza, so it was literally like, first time I went was like when I was like committing to like a whole summer, and it was just the most incredible summer and just a total game changer. Just set me on like a totally different course. And I'd never really thought about the fact that I could make a career in music, in something I loved, until I got that job basically. So so that kind of just set everything going really. I came back from Ibiza and basically spent about a month or two catching up on sleep and just like kind of processing the craziness of the last few months, and was doing some writing for some local blogs and a couple of other kind of international sites that with people that had kind of connections that I'd made there, and just trying to decide what I want to do. And then I found a job going at a PR, like a music PR company, and decided to make that shift from journalism to PR. And that was January 2014. And then I've just been doing music PR ever since. So I set up on my own about just over 4 years ago, and just set up under my own name, Lydia Laws PR, and it's just totally taken off. So it's been a bit of a whirlwind, crazy last few years, 7 years.
So what I really like about that is that whereas from a career advice perspective, you don't necessarily know that such a career exists, but getting into a genre of music, into the club scene, getting out to Ibiza, you then have this idea that comes along that I can potentially make something of this and make a living doing it. I think that's a great way to find out what you are passionate about and how do I go about what you say about living to work. All then clicks. I think that's the serendipity of that, and the beauty of it is we sometimes are forced into trying to come up with a career, whereas it's almost like letting it unravel. Who am I? What do I enjoy? What does it look like? Boom. And eventually it just happens. It's great.
Yeah, 100%. I think that was the other thing, like the whole live to work idea, like that, my kind of perception on all that has changed because, you find something that you absolutely love doing, then, and, I spend a lot of time, I work really hard and I spend a lot of time thinking about my business and how it's going to be cooked in, there is a lot of crossover, especially in something like music between like going to an event often becomes more worky, or like, going on holiday to Ibiza is never just going on holiday to Ibiza, it's always work related. But I love that. Like I love that, those connections with people and that networking and just the whole scene is so vibrant. But at the same time, it's kind of shown me that I don't need to live to work. Like I don't need to be spent, work doesn't have to be the be all and end all. You know what I mean? You can still live a really enjoyable life and do the things you love and have that work-life balance while still having a really successful career. And I think that's something that is a really key thing that I've learned over the last, like, I guess 7 years.
What led you then to say, I'm going to set up shop on my own?
To be honest, I don't think I think I could potentially be quite difficult if as a boss, I think I'm great, but as an employee, I think probably, do you know what I mean? Like I was that kid in school where, like, I did, I got really good grades and I did really well, but you could see it all over my face if I didn't agree with what the teacher was saying. Like, it's kind of like, and I'd be like, I don't know why this teacher doesn't like me. And it's like, because she can see all over your face how you're actually feeling about something that she's talking about. And I'm like, but I don't think I'm showing that at all.
I think I've got one of those really expressive faces that gets me into trouble all the time. It's like, Michelle,
100%. Yeah, I'm like, what are you talking about? It's fine. I'm totally feeling this.
Everything's good.
It's all fine. So I think it was brilliant. Like working for someone else was brilliant, and that taught me everything I knew about music PR. It was like being thrown in at the deep end, and I learned so much. But I think as that was going on, I never wanted to have my own company. Like when I always used to say when I was younger, like I want to be part of a bigger company and kind of work my way up, and then have employees, and then someone else has to deal with all the invoicing and the business stuff and the chasing payments, or or having to kind of be accountable for this, that, and the other. And I never thought I would want to do that. And then just as the years kind of went on, it was a couple of years being a different company, and I just started to just get that feeling of like, actually, I want to be in charge of this myself. Like I want to kind of steer the ship on my own and, make those decisions and even make those mistakes that I have to kind of learn from. And just suddenly kind of out of nowhere, I was like, yeah, I want to do this. And it was actually quite a fast decision, and with like not really any preparation. And I was just really lucky because I kind of told the industry essentially, or kind of told people that I was starting up on my own, and straight away I had a lot of interest for clients and stuff. I think it's very much like a word of mouth business, so you get a really good reputation beforehand, and it'll really help you out if you do want to go out on your own. So I kind of had this idea that I was going to leave the other company and basically spend like a month or two kind of twiddling my thumbs, like sorting my database out or like doing admin, and then suddenly it was like within like the first month it was like I had like a roster of clients. So it's just been really hectic ever since, and I've absolutely loved it. I think it's the best business decision I've ever made, 100%.
It's so exciting. So you don't just sit still though and just do one business or one campaign. You've got lots of different bits and pieces going on as well, haven't you?
Yeah, so I mean, what's so good about the PR is that you can be involved in so many different things at once, and obviously it's freelancing as well. Like it makes all the difference to kind of that freedom and that diversity in the projects you're working on. So as well as doing kind of PR for house and techno DJs, producers and music labels and events, festivals, that sort of thing, I'm also working for a foundation called Bye Bye Plastic, which was actually set up by one of my DJ clients, Blondish. And it's basically a non-profit to remove single-use plastic from the music industry by 2025. So I've been involved in that since right at the beginning, a couple of years ago, when it was basically just, like a beach clean, and then, okay, we're kind of building this thing and we kind of need to think of a name for it. Let's just call it Bye Bye Plastic for now, and we'll work something out. And then suddenly it's like, okay, we're just gonna have to go with that as a name, and actually it's really cool, so let's just do it. And now, it's being featured on Victoria Derbyshire on like BBC, and they flew over to Ibiza and like filmed with Blondish, and we did a big feature about Ibiza and the islands, and like the plastic problem. It's been on BBC Newsbeat. It's been picked up by like the Grammys, like loads of really, really influential news pieces and stuff on it. So I really love that. Like, the sustainability angle is something that I'm really passionate about as a big animal lover and a big fan of the sea and swimming, surfing and traveling and everything. I think we all need to kind of take some responsibility for the planet and kind of what we're doing and get involved in some way to help. So that's a big part of what I do. And it's that in itself it's a really rewarding project. We just had a massive festival at the weekend on Twitch, which raised a lot of money for the foundation. And really
one thing I read as well is that you're a trained marine mammal paramedic, which sounds like some line that you're in a club and you get to meet someone and it's like, what do you do? I'm a trained marine mammal paramedic, and it's like, no. That's just some like chat-up line.
Totally.
Tell us more about that.
Totally. So so I trained with BDMLR, which is a British Divers Marine Life Rescue, and they're an amazing charity. They're actually based all over the world, but they have kind of key units in quite a lot of different like coastal locations. So there's one in the northeast, obviously, and they basically they get called out, or we get called out to rescue seals or sea life, like mammals, whales, dolphins, porpoises, when they either get washed up or something's happened or they're entangled, and we basically get called out to go rescue them. And then if they need medical care, then they get taken to a vet, and then they also get taken to the Blue Reef Aquarium down in Tynemouth, and there's like a seal rehab unit there. I'm not involved in the rehab unit, but the guys there are doing an amazing job, and so much effort goes in as well. It's like, for one seal, it's like people get called out. One of the seals that I rescued was really badly entangled, so we got this call and I went out, and because I live so close to the coast, I was the first one on the scene, and the tide was like coming in really quick, and it was on St. Mary's Lighthouse, like on the island, and it was just had this massive load of fishing net around its neck, like completely choking it, but it kept kind of like swimming almost back into the sea. So I was like trying to but they're quite vicious. Like if they think that you're attacking them, they're going to bite you, and their bite is kind of like a dog bite. So you kind of I was like trying to get him to like come up onto the rocks while the tide was coming in really fast, while I was trying not to get swept out to sea and also not get bitten. So there's me with like a towel kind of trying to be like, come on, like get in here. And like the weather was crazy, and it was like some sort of scene out of one of those like TV shows, there was like rescuing the wild or something like that. Yeah, so then a couple of other guys arrived, and we managed to kind of catch him. You have to like jump the seal. So basically someone tracks from the front, like doing a little dance or something, and then the other person jumps on the seal from behind with a towel, and like basically gets the towel around their mouth so that they can't bite. You have to clearly be trained to do this. And then you basically kind of check the seal, check for any injuries, check like their eyes, are they dehydrated, is there any problems? So obviously with this one, we had to cut all the netting off, which took a good 10 minutes or so. It was really tight, and to be honest, I thought it was going to be quite a upsetting situation, but once we got the netting off, it seemed that it had happened quite recently, and it hadn't actually cut through the skin yet. But that seal literally could have died within about 24 hours because it wouldn't have been able to feed. It would have been exhausted, wouldn't be able to catch anything, wouldn't be able to eat, and couldn't breathe properly. And it's crazy because that's a totally healthy, fine animal that has swum into that and must have had such a traumatic experience. And there's just no need for that to happen. Why is there massive chunks of like fishing net lying around in the ocean? Do you know what I mean? But yeah, so basically that was a really happy story, and we could let him go back into the wild, which is just the luscious thing to see. But yeah, if there is an injury or something, then there's some really great vets that they're affiliated with who will kind of help them, and then it goes to seal rehab. And then there's a really nice moment when they release the seals back into the ocean, like after a few weeks or even months. Sometimes they'll spend months rehabbing one seal, and it's just so nice to see people putting so much care into one animal. I think it's really heartwarming.
Yes, that's lovely. Lovely story.
Yes, it's lovely. Imagine the seal be raging though.
Oh god, yeah, they are absolutely raging. And the thing is, it's the same with any animal, isn't it? It's like you wish you could say to them, I'm trying to help you. Yeah. Like I'm trying to help you, but they can get very aggressive if they think that you're attacking them, which they basically will think if you're jumping on them from behind. There's also yeah, you should. There's also they're on Facebook just as British Divers and Marine Life Rescue, and they're really cool. And there's a recent video they did where they actually did a little virtual they kind of did a Facebook Live showing them releasing the seals, because obviously at the moment they can't kind of encourage people to come down the beach to see it. But then they also get called out for whales and stuff, and then there's teams in like all around the world who do there's an entanglement special entanglement team who basically, if they hear about like a humpback or something entangled, they'll go out in a boat and actually try and find it and catch it and cut it off, which is quite dangerous work really, because you're essentially attaching yourself to a massive whale that could just die any moment. Yeah, I would love to do something like that, but I mean, I also am probably a bit too scared. Let other people do that part.
Awesome. So how is everything with the coronavirus and us not being able to go to gigs and festivals? How is that impacting on your clients and the music industry in general?
Yeah, I think it has been really tough. It's been a very turbulent time, obviously, for every industry, but I think kind of shown a bit of an area in the music industry that could be worked on. The fact that all these gigs are basically that's what generates the income for so many people. And with artists especially, music in the sort of house and techno world, like music isn't really where money is made. Like the releases aren't where the money is made. It's not really the same as, like a pop artist or a pop singer might release an album, and that's where they're making their money. And then they go on tour and kind of, that's to then promote the record. It doesn't work in the same way. So it's kind of like you suddenly cancel the gigs and it's like suddenly the income is gone. And I think it's a really scary time for a lot of people, but it's also a really good time to be thinking, okay, where can I make money? What are the other opportunities? So I think some artists especially are really kind of pushing themselves out of their comfort zone and thinking, okay, how can I actually change this model? Because also I think it'll be really helpful for the future, because it's such a fast-paced industry. There's so many new talents coming up all the time. There's so many releases every week, and it's one of those markets where you don't know how long you're going to be fashionable for. You don't know how long you're going to have, keep growing. You don't know how long you're going to be building your fan base for, or how long your career is going to last. So actually, I think it's this. People could take from this some really positive lessons, which is like, okay, when I do want to start slowing down my tour schedule, whether it's because I'm having a family or because I'm just getting a bit older, how can I actually carry on earning the same amount? What could I be doing? Like, what areas could I be exploring? And I think almost that also kind of filters down to people like me. I have kind of seen this time as like, right, I could kind of sit back and just be like, just wait for things to pick up, or I could try and use this as a time to think, okay, what else could I do? What else do I want to do? Gigs could take so long to come back. Some events are starting to happen now, but then, the clubs aren't opening in Ibiza this year, so that's going to have a massive effect. So I'm just kind of getting involved in as many other things as I can. So I'm in the process of starting a kind of side business with a couple of other women in the industry, which is going to be kind of like a PR marketing company, but with a bit of a difference, and doing different sort of events and stuff, and out not totally within the music world. And then it's got me doing like coaching and consultancy work, which I really wanted to do for ages, but just kept putting off. And yeah, I'm just kind of trying to see it as, if I put the hard work in now and kind of think outside the box, then it will pay off when we kind of things do kind of go back to normal, whatever that is.
Normal.
So yeah, exactly. So trying to stay positive, and actually it feels quite liberating because I'm pushing myself out of my comfort zone, and also like taking on projects I might not normally have had a chance to take on. So yeah, it's kind of expanding my horizons quite a bit.
Cool. And that working with other people and that collaborating piece, it can be quite lonely and isolating being an entrepreneur on your own, and being able to work with different people with different sort of complementing skill sets, same values, is always going to be, it's going to be fun, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. I think I'm very lucky in my job anyway. There's quite a lot of really brilliant female publicists, and we all kind of have like a bit of a network between ourselves as well, which we use for kind of support or advice, or help each other out here and there, and that makes a massive difference as well. But yeah, I really like the kind of collaborating with others who might have different skill sets and stuff. I think it's really cool, and you can actually, there's enough space for everybody. It's just finding your strengths and working together with someone else's strengths, and that can really create something really special.
Oh yes, we completely agree with that.
Yeah.
It's funny how we had that conversation about the Be More Pirate book, and you've pretty much nailed it all in what you're doing.
Oh, great. That's good.
Um,
Excellent. I'm glad to hear.
I'm really interested to hear your feedback actually afterwards, because you know you are,
Yeah, definitely.
you're almost working through the processes that, you know, to be more pirate without even knowing that there is a process about how to be more pirate. So you're already a pirate, is what I'm trying to say really badly. So well done.
Amazing. Thank you. That's great. I always kind of liked being a pirate. I think I would really suit the uniform, to be fair. I think it's just so becoming. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just think it would really work well. It'd be a good look.
Awesome.
So tell us as well, because of course you're a very busy person. Why not have something else on the go? Tell us about Lifting the Lid podcast.
Oh yeah, so I started a podcast, Lifting the Lid. It started this year, I think it was. After once again being one of those things, I was like, I really want to start a podcast for months. Finally, actually did it, and yeah, it's basically just me chatting with different inspirational people, but from kind of all different walks of life, like sports stars, writers, like playwrights and authors and things, musicians, DJs. And then like business entrepreneurs, and also like people within like the sustainability field. There's actually, the first one was with one of the guys from British Divers Marine Life Rescue. So yeah, it's basically just me talking with really interesting people about their lives, and just hoping that can also inspire other people to kind of follow what they want to do. So yeah, it's on, you can go to anchor.fm/lifting the lid. LYD, obviously can't resist a pun. Or yeah, it's on Spotify and Apple and everything as well.
Awesome. We'll put the links in the show notes.
Yep.
I think it sounds really interesting. We've had a little listen, so yes, it's really good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we're going through now to the quickfire round of questions that we've come up with.
Love a quickfire round.
So I'll ask question number 1, James.
Okay.
So question number 1 is, what is your favourite animal?
Oh my god, that's so hard. I've got so many. I know I'm going to say something and I'm going to forget like a really crucial animal. You know how you do. Can I go with my favourite UK animal? I'm going to go hedgehog. I love hedgehogs so much. They're the cutest things. I just love them.
Oh,
good choice.
Yeah, mine's wombats, which is pretty much Australian hedgehogs, I suppose, isn't it?
Oh yeah, wombats is a great shout. I try to think of Australian ones. Spend loads of time in Australia because my brother living over there, and I like literally am thinking of all the different animals. Maybe an echidna. Also kind of like a hedgehog. Okay.
Yeah.
Carry on.
There's some pictures.
Yeah, so cute. Cool.
So question number 2. You are hired to show tourists what life is like in the northeast of England. What would you show them?
Oh my god, I literally feel like I'm a tour guide in the northeast because I'm always pushing it to everybody and being like, you've got to come, here's pictures of the beach. Where would I take them? I'd take them to, we'd go for a swim in the sea, Cullercoats Bay first thing. We'd get out in time for Cullercoats Coffee to open, where we'd get a great oat milk latte. Perfect. Then we'd probably walk all the way along the coast past like Long Sands, see if it was surfable, maybe have a surf lesson, and then stop off at Fish and Chips, Laura's Fish Bar for lunch, then probably have some cake somewhere. Maybe the boat. Basically, I'm obsessed with Cullercoats and Time Off, in case that wasn't clear. And yeah, and then probably end up really, really full and sleepy by the afternoon, and then go to like Oosburn or something for drinks and stuff.
Cool.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Sounds like a perfect day.
Yeah.
I know, I've always wanted to do one of those.
My separate tour guide company.
Yeah. I always wanted to do one of those sunrise kayak thingies.
Oh yeah, we talked about that, didn't we?
Yeah.
We'll have to look.
We should do it.
We're allowed.
Or paddle boarding or something. Yeah.
Good remember.
Yep. That's my turn. Sorry. Yep. I missed my cue. Okay. So if you could pick up one instrument and instantly become a virtuoso at it, what would you choose?
I'm going to say piano. I already play piano, but I would love to be able to play piano to like insane levels. That would definitely be my choice.
For someone to just like throw a tune at you, like, yeah, I'll make that.
I've just realised people can't see me doing the finger movement on the recording.
We could take it out and make it a GIF. Yeah. That's epic. Oh dear.
So we pull up outside and in the DeLorean, and we can take you back to 18-year-old Lydia. What advice would you give to her?
A great question. I think some of the key advice would be that the choices that you make at 18 don't have to define the rest of your life and the rest of your career. I think I would just say make choices for what you want to do now and don't worry about the future so much, because it's never too late to reinvent yourself and change what you want to do. I think when we're younger, you think, oh my God, like, you know, when I'm 30, I'm going to be doing this and I'm going to have like a family and a house and a this and a that, and I'm going to have to know what career I want. And then you kind of get a bit older and you're like, okay, I still feel like I'm in my early 20s and nothing feels any different. And actually, you've got the rest of your life to still do whatever you want. I think that would be a really key bit of advice. Just do what you kind of feel you want to do at the time and don't think too much about the future. And another one is to not compare yourself to other people, which is something I think we all probably still struggle with, or a lot of people do. I still do. Yeah, it's hard. And that the whole kind of imposter syndrome thing. But I think I'm a lot better at it now. I think when you're younger, it literally is like, oh, but look how well they're doing, or look what they're doing, or they're better than me at this, or I can't, you know what I mean? And I just think it just takes you to a negative place you don't need to be in, because we all have our strengths. We all are individually excellent. So yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, we all have our own strengths. It's like there's lots of quotes in this, and Michelle often reminds me of the quote of "Comparison is the thief of joy."
Oh yeah, that's a really good one. 100%.
Oh, go ahead.
No. What's the other one?
It's I'm going to butcher it, but I think it's an Albert Einstein one. It's about judging a fish by its ability to climb a tree.
Yeah, that's a good one actually.
Then it's never going to succeed in life. I'm totally misquoting that one, but it's if you try and be
the thought is there, yeah.
Well, the difficulty is because our brains evolved, I suppose, in a stay in the tribe, don't be different, don't stick your head out of the cave, because if you're on your own, you're not necessarily going to survive. So we're fighting against evolution here and how our brains develop to be really conscious of needing to fit in. So
100%.
Yeah, so I said actually this morning, you and me, baby, ain't nothing but mammals. We think we're so bright and brilliant because we invented cars and aeroplanes and stuff, but our biology is still our biology.
Yeah,
so
100%. I would also on a slightly different note give myself the advice to not spend all my money on clothes that I will never wear and probably get rid of still with tags on, and save that money towards like a house deposit or something instead. Because when you're younger and people tell you and you're like, nah, I really want this dress, I really want this. And then it's like, oh no, actually, yeah, you do have to actually pay back that university loan. And yeah, probably would have been better not to spend it all on clothes, but live and learn. So
some practical advice there, so thank you for that.
Exactly. Anyone listening who's around the age where it matters, stop buying clothes you will never wear.
No. So if somebody's had listened to this podcast, thinks they're like the cut of your jib, as it were, how is the best way of getting in touch?
Okay, so all the details about me and my business and my podcast and everything are on my website, which is lydialawspr.com. Nice and simple. I'm also on Instagram at Lydia English Rose. Don't ask. And you can search for Lifting the Lid on all popular key platforms for podcasts. And you can probably find me down in the sea, on the beach, either getting battered by my surfboard or screaming about how cold the sea is. If you want to come see me in person. Yeah.
Cool. And I just wanted to say a little thank you to my former schoolmate, Gillian Bando, for introducing us as well. So you've obviously
thanks, Jill.
Yeah, I know she's known as in my head she's Gillian because she's still 14, but yes, she's a proper adult grown up now, isn't she? Well,
oh, bless her. Yeah, well, yeah. Through swimming, yeah, awesome. Swimming and surfing actually. Although I've never been surfing with her, but I think that's how she kind of we connected. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, thank you ever so much for your time today.
Enjoyed it.
Thank you for having me. It's been so nice.
Thanks everyone for listening. Check out all the show notes at inspirationnorth.com. Join us again for the next episode when we'll be chatting to another inspirational person. If you like this, subscribe and tell your friends. If you didn't like this, subscribe anyway and tell everybody.